Welcome to this video on Xcelerate Forms Online. This video will provide details on how to use the Buyer's Estimated Expenses tool in Xcelerate. The Buyer's Estimated Expenses tool produces an estimate of the funds needed at settlement and the monthly costs for the buyer. Upon completion of this lesson, you will be able to use the Buyer's Estimated Expenses tool in Xcelerate by navigating to the Buyer's Estimated Expense tool, filling in the entry fields in the tool, printing the results, and signing out. You will now watch demonstrations of how to use the Buyer's Estimated Expenses tool in Xcelerate. Start by logging on to Xcelerate. If you need information on how to log on to Xcelerate, please view the video on accessing Xcelerate. Once you have logged on, you will be on the home page called My Dashboard. On the left side of the dashboard, you will see a navigation bar. Click the Financial Tools link to open the Financial Tools menu. The Financial Tools menu will be displayed automatically on some browsers without clicking the Financial Tools link. Click the Buyer's Estimated Expenses link. The Buyer's Estimated Expenses page will open. Any red fields with a red asterisk next to the field are required fields, so you must enter data into that field. Some of the fields may become required based on your selections. At the top of the page, you can enter the buyer's names in the buyer's field. Followed by the address of the property in the property address fields. Starting on the left column under the address field, you need to select the state, county, and office from the drop-down menus in where the property is located in. If you have a real estate license in more than one state, you can select the state the property is located in, and then the county within that state. The New Home field is optional, and you can select the Yes or No button in this field. Next is the Purchase Price field. Enter the purchase price of the property in this field. Appraised Value is an optional field and is listed next. The next entry is the Annual Real Estate Tax field. It is not necessary to enter data into this field. If no data is entered, the annual real estate taxes will be computed by Xcelerate. If you would like to enter the annual real estate taxes manually, click the checkbox next to the Enter Manually label. This will allow you to enter the taxes into the field directly beneath the label. Seller pays taxes in the next entry. If the seller pays taxes every 6 months, click the 6-month button. Otherwise, the Seller Pays Taxes field will default to once a year. Tax payable dates are a required entry. Enter the date manually, or click the calendar icon on the right side of the field to open a calendar. Once the calendar is open, click the date when the taxes are payable. Property type is next. Click the button next to the property type that applies for this property. Monthly condo fees are the next entry field. If condo was selected under property type, this field becomes a required entry. Annual HOA fees are optional. Enter data in this field if needed. If the property has annual ground rent, enter the amount of the ground rent in this field. If you entered annual ground rent, the buttons directly beneath the annual ground rent field will become required. Select the button that applies for your property. By homeowner's insurance policy, Yes and No buttons are the next entry. These buttons will become active depending on what type of property you select in the property type field. The final entry in this column is the Recordation and Transfer Tax buttons. Select the button that applies to this property. At the top of the page on the right column, select the Financing Type button that applies to this purchase. Beneath the Financing Type are the Financing Subtype buttons. These buttons will become available for selection depending on your choice of the financing type you selected in the above field. Settlement date is an optional field. Click on the calendar icon at the end of the field to open a calendar. Once the calendar is opened, click the date of the settlement to auto-populate the settlement date field. Interest rate is a required entry if a new mortgage has been selected. Enter the interest rate of the new mortgage in this field. The next entry is the earnest money deposit for the property. Enter the amount in this field. Total down payment can be entered as a dollar figure, or you can select a percentage from the drop-down menu next to the field. The minimum down payment field only applies to new FHA or VA mortgages. Enter data in this field if an FHA or VA mortgage has been selected. Loan term is a required field for a new mortgage. Enter the amount of the loan term in this field. Next is the total discount points field. Enter the discount points for this transaction in this field. Select the Buyer Pays Warranty, First-Time Homebuyer, and Owner Will Occupy buttons that apply to this purchase. The FHA/VA Funding Fee Will Be Financed button will only be active when an FHA or VA financing type has been selected. Select the button in this field if an FHA or VA mortgage has been selected. Select the Escrow Deposit button that applies to this contract. The final fields are Seller Paid Closing Costs, Seller Concessions, and Seller Paid Accruals, along with any limits in those three fields. Please enter any data in the fields that apply to this contract. Once you have completed your entries, you may click the Save button to save your entries. This will also display any errors you have made when entering your data. The Cancel button will take you back to the previous screen you were on. The Clear button will clear all of the fields on the form so you can start over. The Calculate button will calculate and display any entries based on the data you have entered. The final button is the Print button. To print the results, click the Print button. This will open a new window and display the results. Once the new window has opened, click the Print icon in the upper left of the page. A Printer menu will open. Once you have made your selections on the Printer menu, click the OK button to send your print job to the selected printer. Once you complete printing, you can close the results window by clicking the X in the upper right-hand corner of the window. To log out of Xcelerate, click the Log Off link in the upper right-hand corner of the page. A window will open and ask, "Are you sure you want to log off?" Click OK to log off of Xcelerate. This concludes this presentation on how to use the Buyer's Estimated Expenses tool in Xcelerate. Additional training videos on this and other topics are on the Long and Foster Cafe. We thank you for viewing this video.